Okay, class, our next assignment is going to be a master study or a master copy, whichever you prefer. And that is basically taking a painting by one of the old masters, and I have a list for you on the assignment page, and choosing a painting from them, and we're going to translate that into charcoal. So I have a Van Gogh book, and I'm choosing this fishing boats on the beach at Sainte Marie de la Mer. It was painted in June of 1988. So I've got little clamps to hold my book open, and I'm gonna be looking at this for my subject matter. And I've got my newsprint pad, and again, I'm orientating it the way the picture is. So this picture is, you know, longer this way, right? Portrait, or a landscape, like a landscape, sorry. And I will be doing my page the same way. So orientate your pad the same way you see the picture orientated. And it looks like this might be a little bit shorter than, you know, the length of my newsprint pad. So I'm going to try to fit it to scale and to the page as best I can. Also, one thing I want to make note of is Van Gogh, I know I've been harping on you guys not to use lines, but Van Gogh did use a lot of outlines in his work. So if you choose a piece that has a lot of lines, by all means, I want you to copy it, okay? And I've got my box of charcoals and my supplies here. So I'm gonna be using a charcoal pencil, again, to lightly sketch my master copy onto the pad. Remember, go lightly, and most of these lines are going to be disappearing as I add in value. So remember, when you're sketching, I like to hold the end of the pencil. It gives you a lighter line. So I'm going to time lapse this part. All right, so I lightly sketched it out. I started going in with my compressed charcoal to kind of get some of these darks in here, because I'm looking at the actual piece, and I'm looking at where are my darkest darks. So parts of the boat here, and where are my lightest lights. So this part of the foam of the ocean, and in some of the sky and this piece of the boat. And where are my midtones? Like there's a lot of midtones in this painting. And one thing I want you to take into consideration is, I mean, obviously we're not going to match stroke for stroke with the paint, but Van Gogh had a lot of movement in his paintings, and I still want to sort of achieve that feel even in charcoal. So first I'm going in and I'm kind of filling in some of the bigger parts of value for myself. And when I'm looking at this, this is a mid-tone, like the sort of where the waves crashing onto the beach. That's, you know, a middle value. So I'm looking at those, I'm filling them in, and you can see it gets lighter as it goes into the background there. So it's a little darker up front. So I'm filling that in too. And I'm going to put this on a tripod so I can do this more properly. Hang on. Okay, so I'm looking at my picture. You guys be sure to look back and forth at your whatever artwork you chose. Make sure you're constantly looking at it so that you are getting the shapes right. And I'm going to just sort of, because Van Gogh had so many paint strokes. I'm looking at kind of the direction he's putting his paint on. And I'm going to use my chamois to kind of blend that. So you guys remember your tools that you have. I'm going to be using my chamois and as well as my erasers to kind of make this feel more painterly for myself. I'm looking, there's some dark in the background of this painting, some little bushes over there. And I think I'm gonna start going in with my pencil and start making this, building it up. But I've got my basic bones for the piece on here. I always like when chamois are well loved and well used, sometimes you can just use them by themselves because there's so much charcoal on them. You don't even have to lay it down with a pencil. Sometimes you can just use what's on here. Okay. I am going to start going in. Remember, you're not looking at details right away. I'm looking at edges, strong edges versus more soft and painterly bits. So I'm starting to go in and map out those edges, like on the boats. That's where Van Gogh, he's really great with not only value, but also composition, and really where he wants the viewer, wants to take their eyes and what he wants to show them first versus second. They call those read. So the first read in this painting is to these boats. So you can see on the piece, obviously this is where he wants your eye to go first. And it's kind of leading you through the picture as you go. So I'm going to set this up on time lapse and work my way through it for a bit. All right, so while I'm doing this, I'm constantly referencing the book. So keep your eyes moving back and forth between your piece you're working on and the actual photo that you're drawing from. And again, I'm looking at the shapes of things. So I'm not going in to tiny details first. I'm looking at the overall larger shapes. I'm also constantly gauging my values, looking at the book and making adjustments, going darker where I need to go darker. And then I'll be pulling out some lights with the erasers. But don't be afraid to get dark when you need to get darker. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. And again, I'm referencing my picture constantly. Van Gogh, he did a lot of nice, like where he showed his paint strokes. So I'm gonna sort of mimic that by using my kneaded eraser and sort of pulling out some lines so it sort of feels more painterly. So it looks more like, you know, he always used those really thick paint strokes, which I adore. So again, I'm looking and notice like the sky has value. Everything like even though it's much lighter, you still want to put value in there. And I'll be doing some pushing and pulling on this too, because I need to do a little bit of back and forth, but I can see, I'm looking at how he did these like nice little waves coming off of that boat. So I'm just gonna go through and like pull those out with my kneaded eraser. I'm looking at shapes. Sorry, I'm staring at my painting. It's hard, and I'm holding the phone, so it's a little bit hard to get. But anyway, I'm gonna go in and pull some more out with my kneaded eraser and sort of tighten up other little bits. But you basically know what you're supposed to do, I hope, and make sure you're reading all the way through the assignment too. And then take some time to figure out a picture that is good and doable for you at your level that you're at.